If you're there, I want to say thanks for being here. Thanks for joining me. It's doing some weird circle of death thing, so I think it's connecting me now. Give it a second. Let me make sure my internet is working. Nope. 2 seconds into the live. Hello. Okay, so I don't know who's going to show up for this live, and I'm just going to do my best. I get these little epiphanies sometimes, and sometimes they work out well, sometimes they don't. So I'm going to give a few seconds and kind of see if anybody joins me here. I want to start by talking about me, because I get the impression that sometimes when people come to my Facebook page, they don't really know what it is that I'm doing. It's kind of like, what is she? Who does she represent? And I'll be honest, that's part of my challenge. Because I feel like I'm so multidimensional. There's so many things that I do and that I like to do that it's kind of hard to narrow it down. Same is true for my YouTube channel. You're supposed to have a niche. You're supposed to have a certain type of thing that you do, but I do many things. So it's kind of hard to narrow it down to only one thing. So while I'm waiting for people to file in, hopefully I'll get some people today. I see I have one viewer. I can't really see who it is, but I would like to thank you for being here. And apologize to everyone else who has to watch this on the replay, because I'll talk about this later. Hopefully I'll remember to discuss it. I'll discuss it now. Sometimes since my near-death experience, I get these epiphanies. So it'll sometimes be like, well, just go on Facebook Live today. Yeah, sounds like a good plan, but nobody knows you're going to be there. So I spent most of the morning kind of letting people know that I would be coming on here. So I'm now trying to tell you a little bit about Michelee Smith Tynes. Who am I? What do I do? You come on my page, you might see any number of things. I'm still learning a lot about the social media world. Honestly, I feel like I need a social media manager. So if you know a guy who knows a guy, hook a sister up. I'm going to say that again at the end of this. I really need a social media manager because I'm trying to manage everything on my own. You can find me at Michelee Smith Tynes on LinkedIn, Pinterest, Instagram, Twitter, and what's the other one? YouTube. But I can't say that all of those accounts are active. Oh, I got 3 people now. I've got 3 people now. What? Oh, I lost one. I got 2. Thank you. Anyway, so I'm trying to build my brand across social media, which is very challenging. I am trying to juggle a lot of things, even with lockdown and everything. There's a lot of things that I'm doing. I'm a teacher, so I still have to, submit lessons, and there's still a lot of stuff I have to do with that. So I'm just trying to build my brand overall. I also have another brand, which so far I've only developed on Instagram, and that one is at Teacher Tynes. So I'll put that up for you a couple more times. At Teacher Tynes. This is a kid-friendly account. In case you're just coming on, I'm stalling. This is stalling. I'm stalling because I haven't told you yet why today is so special to me, but I am going to get there. But anyway, this is an Instagram account. If you have kids or grandkids, I'm trying to brand myself with Teacher Tynes as well. So far, I'm only branded on Instagram. But I would like to brand that on YouTube and everything else as well. So, still haven't told you yet why 423 is a special day. I'm trying to see who else logs in. Hey, Mary! That's my friend. Hi, Felicia. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me. I'm stalling a little bit. I'm going to tell you guys why today is so special to me. But I want to first tell you what it is that I do, because some people don't understand what I do for a living. My youngest son still kind of thinks that I'm a substitute teacher, and that's not the case. I am a visual and performing arts instructor. So before lockdown, what I would do is, in the district that I work for, I would service 9 schools. So I'd go to 9 schools, and I would be at one school about every 2 weeks. So they would rotate, and I would teach a lesson to grades 1 through 5. And the lesson would be in music, art, or drama. But I also teach dance. Dance is actually my specialty, but I don't get to do it in my line of work because the classrooms are so crowded and compacted. There's so much in the classrooms most of the time, so I don't really get a chance to do that. So that's what I do for a living. That's what Teacher Tines is all about. Hi, Evans. Nice to see you. That's what Teacher Tines on Instagram is all about. That's what I do over there is music, art, dance, and drama. I get to do the dance over there as well at Teacher Tines. So as I'm saying, when you come to my page, you might see me doing an art lesson. And then now, like today, I'm talking about a book. You might have seen something where I'm selling a book. I'm all of that. Remember Whitney Houston and before her Shaka Khan? I'm every woman. Every single one of those women is me. I am every woman. So I have a lot of projects that I'm working on. I envision myself being kind of like Magic Johnson, like having a whole bunch of businesses going at the same time. But it takes organization. So I will say that this is one thing that I've been blessed with, is the opportunity to try to get a little bit more organized. I'm interested in developing a tribe. If any of you can find yourselves fitting in any of those things, definitely, as I said, need a social media manager. So I want to thank you for being here. I realize that it's really late notice. I just got this epiphany probably the day before yesterday of the significance that today holds for me. I'm still not quite ready to share that yet. We're 7 minutes in. I think I'll share at 10 minutes in. Hey, Rashonda! Oh my goodness, I got fam up in here. I got some fam up in here. Rashonda, you can put your babies on, but they're not even babies anymore. They're big people. But anyway, this is a very interesting thing that I'll be talking to you guys about. So I'm going to share with you a few more of my interests. Like I said, my fam is coming in the door. Like I said, you might come to my page and you might not be able to see what it is that I like to do. But I love theater. I love going to see shows. I really like monster truck shows. That's something not many people know about me. Gravedigger is my favorite. Love Gravedigger. I don't know why, but I love Gravedigger. My favorite show of all time is The Twilight Zone. And I love to dance. That is my favorite thing ever to do. So, like I said, you might come to my page. You might be like, who is this girl? What does she do? That's just giving you a little bit of an explanation in terms of what it is that I do. And are you ready, or do you want to wait? Okay, so I get to start with a special guest.
I don't know how special, but
this is my special guest. Look at him. Isn't he cute? Y'all can't have him, ladies. Y'all can't have him. I'm going to give him a kiss.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to give him a kiss because now I'm going to reveal why today is so special to me. I said 10 minutes, but I'll give you guys 8 minutes and 44 seconds. Today is so special to me because 3 years ago, I was discharged from the hospital after being in a medically induced coma for 12 days. Let me let that sink in for you for a second. 12 days. I was intubated. I was in a coma. I was initially admitted because I was having trouble breathing, started with allergies. Turns out I was anemic. It was a perfect storm of a terrible health circumstance. So this day is always going to be special. I observe as my personal holidays April 9th through the 23rd. That spans the entire time that I was in the hospital. And I've invited this handsome fellow here to talk a little bit about that, because not only do you sometimes not get a chance to know anything from a person who was in a coma, you also don't often get a chance to understand what that's like. So I want to start by allowing you to introduce yourself by however you want the viewing audience to know you.
Oh, my name is Dion. I'm her husband.
He's Dion, my husband.
Yes. That's it.
So do you want to start by saying what that was like, or do you want me to ask you questions?
I can just say that for me, just going into it, I'm blessed to have, a foundation. My foundation is Jesus. So it was great to have that foundation going into, the unexpected. And it was really on him that I leaned during that time, because there was a lot going on. But people don't, we were actually moving at the time. And when this was happening, we were transitioning to a new place. We actually had all of our stuff, like 90% of our stuff, still in our house. All this was going on.
Let me pause you for just a second.
Yes.
The problem with that is, and I've discussed this with you, I don't even remember those days before I went into a coma. Like, I don't remember boxing stuff up from our house to move here. I don't remember any of that.
You really didn't. You really didn't.
You really gonna do that in front of the viewing audience? You gonna say that I didn't do?
You really didn't. Yeah, my beautiful brother came down and helped with some of it, but then
yes,
obviously everything happened, and then I with the help of our church family,
yes,
and just it was just a lot going on at that time. But again, it was a foundation of Jesus that helped our family get through it, and really provided me with that truly the only time in my life that I can really say I experienced it, that peace that surpasses all understanding.
Amen.
And it allowed me to get through all of that, through the hospital visits, going to the hospital every single day, being there every single day with you, reading to you, sitting there with you, for hours, just knowing that everything was going to be okay, truly knowing that everything was going to be okay.
Wow, that's pretty intense. So how did you deal with, from the time I got out of the coma, like by the time the tube and everything was taken out, probably my first thing was asking questions. Well, not my first thing. I was pretty crazy at first, y'all. I'm telling you, them drugs they put you on to get the tube in and out, that is no joke.
Oh no, that was the fun part.
Actually. That was the fun part.
You were cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
I was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Love having people in my family that can just tell you the truth. No sugarcoating.
That was the fun part, because you were really coming out of the medication and saying some really outlandish things that no one on earth was saying. and
what was the craziest thing I said?
I think you said some of the craziest stuff to our children.
I'm sorry, kids. I love y'all.
That was some of the craziest stuff. And all they did, they would just look at me and try to keep their laughter in. And then they would go outside the hospital room, and we would be dying laughing at the things you would be saying.
Do you want to come on? I have one child over there, but he doesn't want to come on right now. So I have to respect his wishes. Wow. So when I finally got home, there was a stream of questions, wasn't there? Because I've actually written a book, and the book is sitting in the hands of the editor and ready for publication. So you guys are on the ground floor. It seemed to me like as soon as I got home, I just kept asking questions, because I had to reconcile the reality that I experienced when I was in the coma with the reality that happened the whole time that I was outside of it, which you'll learn about in my book. So how did you deal with that? I mean, even as recently as today, I'm still asking you questions. It's been 3 years. And I'm still dealing with they call them delusions, but I'll talk about that in a minute. How did you deal with me continually asking you questions?
At first, it was really just understanding that that's a part of the healing process, um, because the doctor prepped me before he put you under the medication ahead of time, and he said, some people, when they come back, their memory's not completely intact, so you'll have to work with her. And he also, he talked about, how you may be different on the other
Can't
side.
let my husband be on camera like that, y'all.
Sorry. Saying you might be different on the other side of the,
Right.
what was happening, of the intubation. And so, something I think I understood, and just trying to, bring you back to a state of normalization.
So do you think that maybe that preparation coupled with your faith really helped you by the time we got back home, by the time you brought me home?
Yes. Oh, and that part was super easy. Because
you keep saying that. I saw you falling apart.
No,
I saw you. No, once we got home, I was understanding how much stress that had put you through. And I know it didn't feel like it, but that's when you are experiencing that peace that surpasses all understanding. When you're in the midst of that peace that surpasses understanding, it's just like when you've been on medication, you've had to take a medication to control some health problem. You're like, oh, I feel great, but you're not realizing it's because of the medication. So I'm wondering if maybe you were being wrapped around with that peace that surpasses all understanding, and you didn't really understand how much of a toll it had taken on you. Because I would be up to some shenanigans when I came back home, and I had to realize that, you had been under a lot of stress.
I think maybe just after everything, it was just a time for me to completely relax. Like, we've gone through it. We had completely, during that stretch of time, moved everything out of the house, dealt with all the kind of legalities that go with that. And then, you being back home, well. So I think maybe it was, kind of relaxing after being on the go intense for so long.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. I remember you got sick, though. You did start having trouble with your asthma.
I probably wasn't taking the best care of
yourself. So that's another thing. You have to remember that caretakers need a break. Sometimes if a person is caring for other people, they need a break. I know that with COVID-19, if any of you are, caring for someone or know someone who is, maybe you can relieve them, or maybe you don't have that opportunity. But somehow it's important to make sure that your caregiver gets a break. Okay, I'm about to release you off the hook. Is there anything else you want to say? He said, cool. Anything else you want to say?
No, I just want to say that I'm looking forward to the book, and, seeing how all of these things unraveled for you, because it was a lot.
It was a
lot. And you had a ton of questions. There were a lot of things that you thought happened that didn't actually happen, and a lot of different things that were going on in your mind as we were doing a lot of different things out here.
Right.
So I'm really interested and excited to see and read the book. I'm always happy and excited when we get the news from the editor on how she's excited about the book, and and I mean, she's really excited about it, and she edits books. It's for a living.
That's her job.
So the fact that she really, I mean, usually you expect people to be unbiased about certain things, but she seemed to be really genuinely excited and biased about your work. I always knew you could write, but now just to see this, I'm looking forward to it. And thankful for you, thankful to God that he brought us through it.
Likewise.
And just looking forward to seeing what he takes us through next.
Yay! Thank you, love. That's my husband, y'all. That's my husband. That was beautiful. That was such a blessing. So that gives you a little indication of why this day is so important to me personally. And I just want to also thank you again for being here and for this was late notice. I appreciate you coming. I started by giving you a little bit of background about myself, what I do for a living, what my interests are. Um, and I just want to remind you that you can, of course, find me here at Facebook, on Facebook. You can also find me under the same name on Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest. I'm also on YouTube, but there on YouTube is kind of like my attempt at branding myself, bringing together all of these different parts of myself. So I just wanted to explain that so that you would understand. I want to go back to something that my husband said about the delusions, or I thought things happened for real. I'm wondering which one of you guys is going to be the first one to buy my book, because it's sure to be a bestseller. I'm claiming that right now. Um, and once again, feel free to ask questions. Oh, wow. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Like I said, I don't even know about any of this. So many questions over here. Crystal Flays asks, did I lose any memory? Going back to go back to delusions in a minute, but I did lose it just seems like a few days, maybe even up to a week before I went into the coma. I can't remember. I can't remember. I thought I had missed my son's birthday. There was a lot of things that I had trouble um, connecting. There was a lot of things that I couldn't connect, that I that I thought I had not done, that I actually did. Like I thought I had missed Valentine's Day with my husband, didn't do it. Thought I had missed my son's birthday, didn't do it. I was admitted to the hospital on April 9th, 2017, and went into a coma that same day. Early in the morning, admitted, went into a coma, was put into a medically induced coma later that day. And that's really important to know. Going into a medically induced coma and being in a coma are considerably different things. So I'm going to, yes, Crystal, I can see your comments and your questions. Thank you so much for your patience. I am totally new to live and I have no clue. Hey, Andorine, I hope I'm saying your name correctly. Thank you so much for joining us here. Let me put one of my homies is trying to find me. Let me tell him I'm on now. Okay. So anyway, that's a really good question. Did I lose any memory? So now I want to talk about do my last plug for Teacher Times. If you have any kids, that's at Instagram. Watch the replay to figure out why I'm talking about that. So I'm working to get up and running across social media with those projects. Let me go back to what I was saying about delusions. It is my belief and my faith that everything that I experienced when I was comatose actually happened. Now, it did not happen in this reality where I'm talking to you, where you're listening to this, but it did happen. And this is what we need to know when we're dealing with people who are in a coma. Maybe I will become a post-comatose advocate or something, because there's not a lot of information that you get when you leave the hospital in a wheelchair being wheeled to your car. They don't tell you a lot of stuff. And maybe that was one of the reasons why I was destined to come back and to be vocal at this point in time, because no one informs people of what the process afterward is like. And a lot of that you will learn about and you'll discover when you read my book. So stay tuned to my page. My book is in the hands of the editor right now, and it will be published soon. So let me give you a little bit more about me. I've got a lot of irons in the fire. I kind of want to be like Magic Johnson. Like I said, I also think about Tiffany Haddish. She's always talking about having generational wealth, and she's always talking about land. Yeah, that's your girl. Michelee wants to do all of that stuff. So I've got a lot of things going at the time. And my friend Lauren just signed in. He said, how much do you remember about your time under? I remember kind of like bits and pieces. Like there were things that I would actually hear. This is what you need to know. And I'm going to be going into detail on this in a minute. People, can, if they're in a coma, sometimes, not always, they can hear you. And some people remember everything, every second of when they were in a coma. And then other people only remember bits and pieces, but it gets incorporated. For me, it got incorporated into all the crazy stuff that happened. Like, I thought I had been kidnapped and cloned. I thought they were trying to kidnap and clone my kids. It was terrible. So you have to be very careful about what you say around the bed of someone who is comatose. Be careful, be vigilant about what's on their television set. Be careful about anything they smell or hear. Okay, because the mind still is active, and it can be very active because of the drugs that have to be used to intubate a person. That's not an easy process. Before I was intubated, I didn't know. And then afterwards, I had to have a scope recently because I thought my throat had been damaged. And the scope alone, I was traumatized by that because I could actually feel that going down. It's not an easy process. And there are some very heavy drugs. Like they had to use propofol. Who you think of with that? Michael Jackson. Yeah. They had to also use fentanyl. Who you think of with that? Prince. Mm-hmm. You know, very, very, very heavy, strong drugs. Prednisone also, and some other cocktails that they had to administer to me. So my mind is already active, very, very active mind. And sedated like that, there was a whole lot going on. So I wanted to share with you a couple of the other things that I'm doing. One of them is the Push Past It playbook. Now, I want to explain this to some of you guys because when this was published, a lot of people thought it was my own book, and it's still my own book, but it's part of a book compilation. Okay, so there were several authors. Yay! I was one of the first ones in here, though. But this is my first publication. It's called The Push Past It Playbook, a guide to push through your obstacles between you and your purpose. Okay, so I'm just going to show you the picture of me in here, which looks like the same as the picture on my account. That's always so you know it's me. Anyway, so that I wanted to discuss this just a little bit. This is my first publication. So I'm already a published author. Totally awesome. I thought my near-death story would be my first one, but it's actually this one. I was invited by the coach that I had at the time. Her name is Rhonda Colton. Yay, Rhonda! She invited me to be a part of this project. And as a part of this project, I was a featured author. So I'm one of several authors in this book. But I will tell you that the process of working on the book was so powerful. And the story is about anxiety and how I've had to deal with anxiety throughout my lifetime. And so the spin that I took on anxiety, the way that I talked about it is unique. I don't think you probably have ever heard anybody talk about anxiety the way I talk about it in this book. But it was such a powerful story that I'm actually going to revise and expand it. I don't tell people the titles until they're published, but it will be published very soon. I'm looking at a window of maybe about 2 weeks. It will be on Amazon, so make sure you stay tuned to my Facebook page, excuse me, so that you can find out more about that. Let me see. Oh, okay. Thank you. Crystal says she might buy this for her sister. I'll let you know as soon as it comes out, as soon as it's published. That's going to be my third publication. So my near-death story is going to be my third publication. So Push Past It Playbook is the first one. Second book, Expanded Story About Anxiety, will be the second one, probably on Amazon in about 2 weeks. I'm going to upload it in about 2 weeks. And then finally, my near-death story will be the third one. So Crystal, I'll make sure that you know. If you would like to get the book, Lauren, I will inbox you details about that. And I'm going to start answering questions in just a couple of minutes. Let me see. So, yeah, I think I talked about all of that. Oh, for my third publication, I do have a Facebook donation page going. So if you could go to my main page, I don't know how to say all of this stuff, people. If you could just go to my Facebook page, how about that? Go to my Facebook page. Probably the last thing that I posted was the information about my donation page or my fundraiser that I'm trying to do, because publication is really expensive. So let me move on. Now I'm going to get down to the really nitty gritty stuff and exactly what you came for. That was Anderson Paak. Okay, I tried. So anyway, I want to thank you for joining me. Once again, 423 is my anniversary, kind of like my third birthday for coming back to life after being in a coma for 2 weeks. Discharged from the hospital on this day in 2017, 12 days in a medically induced coma. Friends and family were incorporated into interdimensional, that's what I call them, and hallucinatory experiences. Think about the movie Altered States, if any of you were born in the 70s. Um, Before I go too far into this, I want to give my deepest condolences to those who have lost a loved one due to COVID-19. My thoughts and prayers are with you. This is incredibly aggressive, everything that is going on with so many different people. And I just want to offer you my deepest condolences. I also want to offer my heart thoughts to anybody who's dealing with the virus in any way. Um, and I have another question from Lauren. It's been 3 years, and Lauren is always giving me a hard time. But this is actually a very important question. He said, so you almost had to die for you to follow your dream? Think about that, people. Serious question. Serious question. No lie and complete truth. Yes, I almost had to die to actualize my dream. And I'm almost getting a little choked up in saying that, but it's true. And out of the 6 people that are on here right now, I would almost guarantee that it would take almost the same for you to do that. But I want you to do that vicariously when this book comes out. I want you to do that on your own terms and in your own way, because that is the truth. I almost had to die in order to be brave enough to pursue my dream. That is no lie. And only a friend that's known me long enough could ask that question as a joke. But no, it needed to be taken seriously. So I'm grateful for that. I'm really grateful for that question. I don't want for you to have to almost die to pursue your dream. That's one thing that being on lockdown is teaching us. There's another way. And we have to demand that we keep another way, that we do things another way. Because it shouldn't have had to come to this in order for this to happen. I should have been writing years ago. But I also believe that now is the best time. You know, we always say that. Don't we always say that? Oh, well, I should have done this years ago. All of the puzzle pieces come together at exactly the right time. And God only knows what that is. God directs the universe in such a way that all of the pieces come together when they're supposed to. So I don't feel like I'm late. I don't feel like I'm behind. I feel like I'm right on time. So anyway, here are the stats. And again, deepest condolences and heartfelt thoughts. 2,000 people have died in my state alone due to COVID-19. 180,000 have died worldwide. It's estimated that about 135,000 people will need ventilators. Actually, more than 200,000 would be more accurate. But You would also need the people that know how to use them. Very important that the people know how to use them. Having them means nothing if nobody knows how to use it. So that is the strength of the situation that we're in right now. We got to have respect for medical personnel. We got to have respect for, these people that are in the trenches risking their lives to save other people's lives. Anyway, that means that thousands of other individuals have or are now experiencing experiences similar to mine, where they're stuck in a state of limbo. You hear some things from the outside world, but what's going on for you, nobody knows. Nobody understands what's going on in your world. So many people are intubated. They're comatose, like I was. There's a mass coma. I'm coming up on a question that someone asked me. There are a lot of people. There's a mass coma going on right now. It's almost like everybody's asleep, so everybody can wake up at the same time. Literally, be woke, y'all. Like, we got to be woke. You know what I mean? Be woke. So the ventilator also comes with all of those heavy drugs. Nobody tells you. Nobody sends you home with a side effects sheet after you're charged from the hospital in terms of what those drugs do to you. For months, it takes those drugs time to clear out of your system, and for months they can affect your mind. So that's one thing that some people don't know. And it wasn't the pain that I was going through or anything else that did me in, more than the hallucinations that I was having, the interdimensional experiences that I was having. That was too much. Like, that was too much. I can honestly say that fear almost killed me. Fear probably would have killed me quicker than whatever physical problems I was having, whatever physical state I was in. So I just want to reiterate and give you some really good advice. If you know anybody who's in a coma, you're just now coming out of a coma, you've had to care for somebody, who's in a coma. There's some really good tidbits that I want to share with you. Number one, like I said before, be really careful about what you say around them, because you don't know what they hear they're going to remember and what will get incorporated into their realm, their world, what they're going through. Nobody knows. Like nobody, you don't know. So don't have an argument in the room. Trust me, people have done that before. Nobody did that for me, but it's happened. Don't have an argument in the room. Be aware of what they have to smell. Even if you think it smells good, like, limit the smells. Only speak words of hope and positivity. Also, like, if you go in and you're shocked and you see them and you're in a state of shock, because like me, I'm a vibrant, bubbly person, and, I'm laying there in a coma, you're going to be in shock if you come and you see that. But as you see it, try to process that within yourself, and exit the room if you need to. And if you don't think you can keep your spirit up, some people might think it's rude if you don't go back. But, with COVID-19, I don't really think they're allowing people to visit much anyway. But, after this clears up, if anybody watches this after it clears up, don't go back if you can't pull yourself together. You sitting by someone's bedside sobbing is just not a good thing for that person. You have to think of the person that's in the coma. Be aware of what surrounds them. Don't allow anything negative, even if it's the news, to be on their television set in their room. And then I'm going to get to the part that's really responsible for all of us, the ones of us that are coherent and listening right now. So I think I said it. Be careful of what you say around them. Only speak words of hope and positivity. Even if it's hard to look at them in that state, envision them in a better state. Think about when they were running around playing baseball or doing ballet or something. Don't think about them laying there with a tube down their throat. Think about the jokes they crack, the corny ones like I make. Think about something silly about them. Do not think about how this is the end. My aunt blessed me with a thought, and she said when she came in, she was shocked. But the thing was, She said, God is just having her sleep right now. She's just sleeping. And I think that those types of thought has energy. Prayer has energy. Ideas have energy. Make it positive energy around a person that's going through something like that. Be aware of what surrounds them, both smells and sounds, and don't allow anything negative. If it's within your power, don't allow anything negative within their room. So the next thing I want to talk to you about is the importance of being vigilantly responsible. Vigilantly responsible. And I'm going to get to questions at the end because this is very important. Okay. We need to be vigilantly responsible. You need to think of leveled coverage for yourself and your family. Leveled coverage. Okay. You can't do everything today, but there are some things that you can do. Okay. One of the things that you can do that I want to share with you is the importance of having advanced directive. I actually did a talk on this before lockdown, and I had planned to do one a month. And maybe I will start doing them here on Facebook. Hey, there's something I can do, right? Okay, I'm going to share this information with you, and you can thank me for saving your life or somebody else's life later, or at least their time, effort, and pain. This stuff is painful going through things like this. Okay, so I went to this. What I want to talk to you about is the importance of having an advance directive. People, I shall now be the advocate for everybody having an advance directive after the age of 18 years old. You can start discussing it with your kids before they're 18. You need to know what people's wishes are. Being locked in a state of coma for any more than the 12 days I experienced it, I can't imagine, and I don't want to. So you need to be responsible. This includes myself. There are still some elements of these things that I need to revise and work on. But the importance of having a healthcare directive, mine is for the state of California. That's what I printed it for. And you can get them free. I printed that out on prepareforyourcare.org. There are also classes at Kaiser. I would imagine that the classes are probably now virtual, but you can definitely call and get some information on how you can get an advanced directive for yourself and every member of your family. Those are free, people. That's free. You don't have to pay a dime for that. You at least want somebody to know what your wishes would have been, because my husband was presented with this form when I was in a coma, and that's not a good time to be thinking about this kind of stuff. Nobody wants to, you already feel bad enough. You feel guilty enough. You don't know if your loved one is going to live or die. You need to make sure that you did your best to exercise whatever their best wishes were. So, I will admit there are some pages in here that really kind of send a chill down my spine, and they're towards the end. Well, let me just go over some of the questions. Like, what should I do with this form? What if I have questions? Who's a good medical decision maker? When do I want to stop life support? I have some ideas on that now. Who's the name of your medical decision maker? Is it your mama or your husband or your brother? You need to, people need to know. You need to make sure you know. How strictly do you want the medical decision maker to make these decisions? What matters most today in your current health? So you get to write this as you're a currently healthy person. And then the one that gives me chills, even reading it here, is at the end of life. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But I came so much closer to the end of life than I ever thought I would have, than I ever would have imagined. And just the thought that my husband had to do this on his own, not having a clue in terms of what I would want, it makes me sad. But I know now, you have the power to fill this out. I have the power to fill this out. I have the power to make sure that each one of my kids that's over 18 can fill this out. This is a conversation that you can have. This is a conversation instead of watching TV. I know it seems morbid, but to be in that situation and to not know, there's nothing more morbid than that. So this is free. You can print this out today. It's free. You can print it out. Make sure that you have it. I think you just need one witness to sign, that they did this. If you want, I don't know. Maybe you can get it notarized. I'm not sure. I'll be honest. I don't know. But you can at least work to fill this out today. That is something that you can do. I'm sorry, but oh, wow. That's intense. At the end of life, you need to think about what you would want. So that's the first part of being vigilantly responsible, and thinking about your leveled coverage. So that's the first level, totally free. Critical illness insurance is also something that's incredibly important. It might not seem like it, well, it maybe it does seem like it, but you have kind of dragged your feet on it, maybe. Because I know my family would have been sorely for my death at that time. It's not very expensive. That might be something that you can start with, is critical illness coverage, if that's all you can afford. Also, life insurance. It seems like it should be a given, but due to economic times, sometimes people let that go. You don't want to. You want to do everything you can to make sure that you have some form of life insurance. And if you're not, please reach out to me. My husband and I are actually working to develop a family business surrounding these types of things, advanced directive and life care, and life insurance and critical illness insurance. So we're going to be starting a business soon. He's going to be getting his license. So please reach out to me, because I definitely have some resources that could help you, but you need to do something. You've got to do something. You can't just be a sitting duck, and I'm not even going to say with everything that's going on, whether there's coronavirus or not, you need to make sure that you and your family are prepared, for something unknown happening. I have a friend, her nephew is a surfer. He was surfing one day and busted Elvis. He's like what, 20, 30 years old. Nobody thinks about these things. You're not, it's not something that you want to think about, but we need to think about these things. So if you don't have any of these things, especially if you don't have life insurance, especially if you don't have an advanced directive or any of those things, make sure you inbox me and I'll be sure to get you some information about it. So now I'm going to get to the questions. I want to go back to what some of you said, and then I had some people to send me some questions, because on my last live I only have one person. But like I said, I do these kind of as an epiphany. Maybe I'll get a little bit more organized and try to have at least a day a week. Might be good to just answer questions about, directive accountability or something, make sure that all of us are progressing on it. That's what we should all be working towards. Okay, so got a lot of wows and a lot of kisses. I love you. You guys are so awesome. Yes. Now is right. I believe that. I feel like I'm so backed up by angels. It's not even funny. And Norma, thank you so much for your comment. She said, you're so awesome and I'm proud of you. You're so amazing. A woman of God, indeed. Bless you. And I'll be so much. Crystal says it took her sister months to wake up. Never thought I'd be part of that club, but I am. So I'm glad that I at least have a voice that I can share with you, so that, maybe team up and make sure other people are prepared for these things. Thanks for your support, Lauren. Thank you so much for your prayers, Shay. Nidia says she loves me. I love you too. And it says, those are happy tears. And indeed, they are very happy tears. Thank you so much for giving us information. Life is a testimony. Indeed, I believe it's one of the reasons why I came back. I'm sharing it to help more people and to help us. Indeed. God bless. Amen. That is so true. So I didn't know who was going to join me, so I had some people send in some questions. So the first one is from my son, Miles. And I also want to say I tried not to think too much about the questions. I kind of assembled them together, to make sure I'd have them, but I tried not to think too much about them before answering them because I kind of like the feeling of kind of being on the spot. Um, I got one of my friends, I can't say two though, likes to be on the spot all the time. Anyway, Miles, my son, said, "How did it feel to relive those moments when I was in a coma by writing about them?" That is such a powerful question because it was hard. It was hard. I had pictures of myself was in a coma that my mother, my husband, and several of my friends had taken. I had pictures of them in the book at various places as placeholders. And sometimes I'd see those pictures and I'd have to take a breath and just wait, maybe get some tea. As the process went on, I couldn't write anytime after around 5 or 6 because it would disturb sleep. I had to put some distance between my writing and editing and my sleep because I deal with insomnia issues anyway. So, that was kind of challenging, especially, when I was having to commute, go to work and do all of these other things. But I got it done. Going back to, I almost had to die to live my dream. And I am not going to leave this life this time without telling this story. So that was difficult. That was really difficult. And just a reminder that, if you know somebody that came out of a coma, it could be months or maybe even years before they settle down. You have to really settle down your spirit. It's a very traumatic experience, very traumatic. So I love that question from my son. Let me tell you a little bit about my Miles. He was featured on A Baby Story 20 years ago. Yes, y'all. I said that he probably going to be embarrassed. I don't care. I'm his mama. And he also aspires to be a film producer. So thank you, Miles. That's an awesome question. I have another question from my friend Jane Ann. And she asks, "Did you remember everything upon waking or did it take time?" I remembered everything from the other side, which is not death. It's a limbo world. I remembered everything from the other side, but I didn't remember things from this side. So it took me a while to reconcile those other worlds with this world. And I say those other worlds because my soul went a lot of different places, a lot of different places. You're going to see when you read this book. You're going to buy it first. Who's buying it first? Anyway, it took time to reconcile everything. Let me put it that way. I had to reconcile that what happened for me didn't happen for everybody else. Those things did happen to me and they happened with me, but they didn't happen to, with, and for everybody else. So that took a lot of time. They call those delusions. Some of those experiences were delusions, but not all of them. I call those experiences interdimensional travels. So you might as well get privy to some terms that you'll hear in my book. So that's Jane Ann's question. And let me see. I have some questions from my friend Jen. She said a lot of really good things about the Advance Directive, and she is a medical professional. And she offered me a lot of advice and wisdom when I came back from the hospital, when I came back home. So she said she couldn't make it, so I asked her to ask me some questions, and this is what she said. She said, discussing a coma can be a very tricky question. Why is a person in a coma, and can they recover from it? I was placed into a coma because my lungs were getting swollen and they had to control all the swelling that was going on for me internally. So when they put you in a coma, it's so that your body can calm down. Before I passed out, I actually passed out before they intubated me. Before I passed out, my body was really worked up, having a panic attack, and then I couldn't breathe. And then I'd have another panic attack and I couldn't breathe. It was like a cycling system that was happening. So they actually put you into a medically induced coma so that they can control your body better because your body's out of control. That's what I think. I'm sure Jen will let me know later whether or not I answered that correctly. But that's the biggest question that she gets asked. She said a medically induced coma is different than a stroke versus a traumatic brain injury. She gave some other questions, and these are what you want to ask and answer in your advance directive. The questions that she asked are, who do you trust to speak for you? Like I said, your mama, your husband, or your brother. Who you going to trust to speak for you? You better make sure you know. You better make sure you know. Who is going to uphold your wishes? That's another very important question. Can they carry them out? Okay. Do they have the mental and physical capacity to carry them out? Another good question. And Jen says, making sure this is in writing is critical so that families don't argue over stuff. Indeed. Jen says, I would also say to educate between a general power of attorney versus a medical power of attorney. General power of attorneys do not give medical powers. Did you hear that? General powers of attorney do not give medical powers. Good time to get in touch with a lawyer. Make sure you know what your rights are, what the rights of your family are. She says she would ask, what do you consider quality of life? Another good thing to your advance directive. Base your decisions upon that. If a ventilator is temporary, that may be a life on a ventilator. And this is another key thing that one of my friends told me a little while ago. She's a nurse. She said, if you're put on a ventilator and you do not have an advance directive, you have no choice. Your family has no choice. The majority of the choice is based on what the hospital doctors decide or what the hospital as a group decides. So then you are leaving your decisions based on people that you don't know. Okay, so they decide how long to leave you on there, when to take you off, all of those things. I was really blessed because after that, I really don't think I would want to do more than a month in a coma. It is a hard process on the body. It's a hard body process. There's muscle atrophy. I was only in there for 12 days, and my muscles had already begun to atrophy. Think about it. When you just get up and out of bed and put your clothes on, that's more exercise than my body had gotten over the course of 12 days. So you really need to make sure that you know what those things are. So she said if a ventilator is temporary, that might be different than life on a ventilator. You have to be very specific. She said she would also include that since we are in a healthcare crisis right now, doing your medical directive is even more critical. So maybe I will meet on here on Thursdays. I don't know. I'll find out. Check me out on Facebook. Just to make us all accountable, make sure we have advanced directives. We need to do that, people. I mean, I don't know, I know some of you better than I know others, but I love all of you. I don't want anybody to have to go through what I went through. That's just treacherous, and it's just not something that should happen. So make sure that you get that. Thank you so much, Jen. That was so awesome. Where's my other questions? I had some more questions. Oh, here's my other questions. I have a question from Janice. What are 3 things you are grateful for now that you have been given a second chance? I'm grateful for my family. Very grateful for my family. Grateful to come back and live out the rest of my days with my husband. Grateful to come back and continue parenting my kids, even though the youngest was 12. Are you going to come on? You can come on. You're not just going to say hi. He closed the door. 12-year-olds. Okay, so I'm grateful for being able to come back to my family. I'm grateful for being able to come back to my friends. And I'm grateful to be able to live out my dreams, to actually be in the process right now of having them come to fruition is so powerful. And I'm really grateful for that opportunity. I'm so grateful. And to sum all of that up, I'm grateful for hope. All of that is hope. It gives me hope, and I hope it gives you hope as well. And then Janice also asked, what is the thing you would like to look back at after we are all in our own form of mass coma and say to yourself, I did that? And she said mass coma, meaning COVID-19. So I think I mentioned that earlier because there are thousands of people that are now experiencing some version, their own version of what I went through, having to be heavily, sorry, for lack of a better term, drugged, having to be heavily drugged in order to be sedated, so that they could be intubated. Um, so I really, honestly, I think it goes back to the dream. To say I did that would be saying I did this with you right now. I'm so afraid to do lives. Like, I don't really even know a lot about doing this. This is probably like my second or third or fourth one. And the last one, there was only one person here. Just to persevere and to keep reaching for my dream, just to be able to do that. That's so awesome. You know, that's it. To say that I came back and maybe I encouraged you to fill out your advance directive. Maybe I changed your life in some way. I did that. That's the one I really love. So this one is from Sabra, my auntress. She likes to call herself my auntress. She says, what would you say is the greatest lesson that you have learned from that experience? One of the greatest lessons that I've learned from that experience is, let me think about it. Like I said, I didn't want to give myself too much like in the trenches with the questions. I wanted to really search for the answer. What is the greatest lesson that I have learned from the experience? I would say the need for post-comatose counseling. And I think maybe I'll be the first post-comatose counselor. I think I've learned how necessary it is not to just inform the people that the person the hospital with, but to inform the person that leaves the hospital, to make them aware of some things that they might experience or go through. And I'm going to do that on a large scale with this third that I'll publish about the near-death experience. But I'm also doing that now, and that's making me feel pretty awesome right now. So she said, do you believe you were changed in any way? If so, how? I was changed in many ways. I feel like I'm a more spiritual person. I used to be a really religious person, and there is quite a difference. I now see a lot of messaging in terms of numbers. I see a lot of messaging. They call them angel numbers. I see a lot of messaging in terms of spirit animals. I see a lot of messaging in terms of somebody walked past me and they had a message on their shirt. My angels, I'm a lot closer to my angels. Jesus, I'm a lot closer to God since this experience. But I do want to clarify, it doesn't mean that I don't fall apart. I do still have times where I have in the past fallen apart. This book that I'm working on now is about anxiety, is going to give you a really good clue as to how I sort of healed myself in terms of anxiety. I haven't had any panic attacks since I've come across this process that I created for myself. And in this book, I'm going to show you how to create the same process for yourself. There's a scripture in the Bible where Jesus says, physician, heal thyself. So first of all, he's assuming that we're all physicians, and assuming that we can heal, and also that we can heal ourselves. Okay, so that's part of how I feel that I was changed, I guess, to answer that question. Did I ever feel that I was in the company of the Godhead? Definitely. I believe that I had experiences with Jesus. One of the people that you will read about in the near-death story said he saw Jesus stand bedside along with several archangels. And then I have there are things that my soul attests to, but my mind does not remember. Don't know how to explain that to you, but that's the best I can tell you about that. And then she said, how can you best explain that feeling, that knowing? Now, that is very tricky because I have always been, what is it? Claircognizant, which is clear knowing. I've always been claircognizant. And what that means is some people are clairvoyant. They're clairaudient. They can hear angels or they can see them. And don't think I'm going crazy. This stuff is real. Okay. But I've always been claircognizant, but due to religion and some other things that I was going through at the time, I never felt comfortable stepping into that role. But because of this, I've had to. There have been some things that have happened since my near-death experience that people would call uncanny, but I just see it as, divine wisdom being imparted to me. And it's beautiful. It's always beautiful when it happens. You can, if you're in my presence, you can kind of know when it happens because I always say something like, "That's crazy. Did you just see that? That's crazy. Oh my gosh, that's so crazy." And my angels always communicate to me that they think it's just so funny that I have this childlike nature and this childlike spirit, because they communicate with me in various ways on a daily basis. And I love them so much. They are so awesome. I'm just so blessed to be surrounded by so much love. I think that's the main thing. How can you best in that experience is what the entrance asks me. And in the Bible, God is classified as being one thing, one entity, one made up of one, surmised of one thing, and that's love. God is love. So that's all I can tell. Aside from the scary experiences, any experiences in the spiritual realm, all I can tell you is love is what pulled me out. Fear is what almost killed me. Love is what saved me. And I'm talking those of you that were praying for me, when I came in a coma, and I'm, posting things on Facebook and everything, or whoever came to visit me at the hospital. Love pulled me out. Love saved my life. And I will always believe that. She said, was there ever a sense that you were not alone? I don't think I ever seemed like I was alone when I was home. But the thing is, I would always be shouting out to people and nobody would ever hear me. Nobody would ever answer me. I would get so angry about it. You'll read about that in the book. Was there ever a sense that there was a sense that something was there with you supernaturally? Now, see, that's the thing. I didn't see the face of Jesus, light tunnel experience. And the thing is, this might seem a silly thing to say, but I do need to say it. I didn't know I was in a coma. In fact, I didn't even understand until days after I got home that I had been in a coma. So I don't know if that means anything to you, but I thought that what happened for me happened for everybody else at the time. And I couldn't understand why they were being so stubborn and thick not to admit, that I had been kidnapped and beaten and all of this other stuff that I had thought happened to me. So hopefully that answered that question. So let me go back. I can't believe I actually got to an hour. Thank you, wherever you are, whoever you are. I love you. That's me pinching your cheeks, telling you I love you. Okay, let me see. Let me see if there's any more questions. I'm a bye. Yay. No. Oh, let me figure this out. Lauren says I was brought back to amen. Amen to that. Hold on. Ooh, almost disconnected myself there. Sorry, guys. I'm not very good at this. Just trying to get to all of your questions before I sign off. Lauren says, what in the world does supernaturally mean? Buy the book. It'll be out in a year. Buy it. Shay says, continue to live in your purpose. Awesome. And I think I got to all of the questions. I just want to say thank you so much. This is so awesome. Thank you for remembering my second birthday, April 23rd. My birthday is September 3rd, 1970. My second birthday is April 23rd, 2017. Resurrection Day for me. Um, so I just want to say thank you. And make sure that you visit my page just to see what's going on with me. Hopefully, I explained everything that's going on in my world and in this little head of mine. Thank you so much for joining me, and sayonara. Bye.